Okay, it's a lovely late winter's day here at Ikaalinen College of Crafts and Design. We are here in front of the guitar making department and we have a special guest today here, Mr. Douglas Blair from the legendary W.A.S.P.
Legendary!
Yeah. And of course, besides being a lead guitarist for W.A.S.P, you're a guitar maker or guitar designer, or what would you call yourself?
A demented experimenter.
Yeah. So when did you first get involved in this kind of guitar design world, and or how did you?
Good question. Good question. You know, everybody has their first guitar, and usually it's a, you know, maybe nowadays it's a beautiful Guitar Center guitar, you know, like a Gibson Les Paul, but you know, most of us guys, you know, our dad had a guitar around the house, or some friend had a guitar, or uncle. My dad was in the Army, he had this awesome kind of small acoustic, much smaller than that was around the house, called a Silver Tone, and it's a really cheap acoustic guitar that you can find at any department store. And it was around the house, so I started to learn how to play on it, but something happened and I wanted to change the color. I'm like, maybe I didn't like the color, I don't know. So I took it and sanded off the finish and made a new finish. I took a magic marker and drew a line around the side, and I changed the top of it a little bit and wrote Martin, which is a really expensive guitar company. I wrote Martin with the magic marker so that maybe my friends who were 12 years old would think, ooh, he's got a Martin. So that was the first time that I took one of my guitars and tried to make it better or change it, or, hey man, what's up, dude? Hey.
So what kind of a project you have made? I heard that you were working for Parker Guitars.
Well, between kind of band times, or band chapters, if you want to call it that, I played with W.A.S.P in the early 90s for a few years, and then kind of the scene quieted down and I got more into trying to build these double neck guitars, and this black one over here is actually the guitar that I used to audition for W.A.S.P in July of 1992. And the record that they were looking for a guitar player to perform was half acoustic, called the Crimson Idol. And I didn't even know that. I had designed that thing already to try to get my acoustic guitars to stop falling off their stands and breaking, like this one almost did earlier. So I had already built that one, and it just turned out to be exactly what the gig needed, which was a way to switch between electric lead guitar and a cool acoustic guitar sound right like that. So that guitar got me into the band in the first place, and I wouldn't even be here, sitting here talking with you, all the way over here in Finland. Well, it's not far for you, but it's far for me. So anyway, I worked for Parker for 3 years, and that was a great experience, because Ken Parker, I like to kind of compare him to Blackie Lawless, because these are guys that came from a relatively obscure place and wanted to become, they wanted to make a difference in their genre or in their world, and they both really have. Ken Parker was a guitar designer and kind of a sailboat nut, and he combined the technology of racing sailboats with electric guitars and made this guitar that changed kind of a lot of how we think about modern guitars. So it was really great to work for him. I learned a lot. Totally intense guy, and a lot like Blackie, but in a different way. So it's great to work at Parker, and then got back into the band afterwards. So, but it's really wonderful to be here at a school that teaches this stuff, which even Ken Parker and Blackie would both be in there having a blast. They'd be, you know, foaming at the lips. Oh, Telecasters. Oh, look at that. Oh, because there's beautiful guitars being built by, you know, ambitious and talented young builders, which is what, you know, that's what makes the thing go forward, just like music.
How do you like your guitars? What are the qualities as a performing musician?
Well, that's a good question, and I have to point to first the Les Paul and then second the Washburn, because what made Les Paul build that thing is he needed what it did. He needed a guitar that sustained for a long time, and he believed in it, and he believed that other players would want a guitar that when you plugged it in, it sustained forever. And at that time, nobody wanted that. And Les Paul, you know, went to companies and they said, no, we don't want that, we don't want that. So there's the guitar, however many years later, what, 60, 70 years later now? And look what I've done to it, because I want to keep making it more into a tool that I can use. And the guy who designed it, that's why he designed it, to make it a tool that players could really play. The other side of the coin is my other main guitar here, which is a Washburn N4, and my friend Nuno designed it for Washburn as a working tool, as a tool. That's all it is. It's something to get your playing out to the audience, and that's why it's small, and that's why the neck joint is cool. You can reach the high notes, and all the little details, like the Fender Strat, the Fender Tele, and the Les Paul, are all made so guys can play their best. And that's why the best players have ended up creating on a Les Paul, like Jimmy Page and all those guys. And a lot of players, Hendrix and guys, play a Strat too, but this is sort of a refined Strat, just to make it a little more useful as a tool. So to answer your question, same with the double necks, it all comes down to what you can create, what you can achieve playing the thing.
Okay, Douglas, which one is your favorite piece here? Could you tell a little more about it?
Man, that's a tough one. They're all pretty different. I think when it really comes down to it, I'm gonna lean towards the big, tall, giant one in the back. It's the big, tall, giant one in the back, because most of the other stuff is kind of a culmination of trying to combine a couple sounds into one instrument, and that one does it the most, I think, effectively or intensely. And before I grab it, I'll just explain it briefly. It was a 4-string bass, a normal stock 4-string bass, and I modified it. And soon I'll have a builder try to build one from the ground up. But I took the top bass string off, so you end up with the lower 3 bass strings, which, as a non-bass player, I'm probably beat up for saying this, but 3 bass strings is enough for me. Bass players will come beat me up later. Anyway, so it's got 3 bass strings. Each of those 3 bass strings are doubled with a guitar string, and then where the 4th bass string was is 2 guitar strings. So you end up with 5 guitar strings and 3 bass strings, and they're totally separate. The bass strings go to a bass amplifier like normal. Guitar strings go through the guitar amplifier. So anyway, it was a Kramer from the 80s, super indestructible. You could run this thing over with a train and it would be fine. Beautiful, built Kramer. It's got a Bartolini pickup that actually lets the 3 bass strings get amplified separately, and it has piezo pickups that let the 5 guitar strings be amplified separately. And you can hear it, when you play a big open D on it, it's just giant because you got all the bass strings. But when you amplify it, the bass strings go somewhere and the guitar strings come out another place, so it's really fun. So that I call the guitar cross. And Amphisound, you need to build me one.
Besides being in W.A.S.P, you have a lot of different musical projects. Can you tell a little about
Sure.
them as well?
Moving from America over to Scandinavia, because it's Finland mainly, and doing some trips to Germany and Sweden. There's a lot of really cool projects that I guess knowing people from W.A.S.P and making the connections while we play with W.A.S.P has led to some cool connections to some other musical things. The biggest thing is a rock opera project that I'm involved in Stockholm, Sweden, that is a collaboration with a guy in San Diego, California. So it's sort of these actor guys in California and Stockholm that have come together and made a rock opera based on a 1933 horror story by a really cool author named H.P. Lovecraft, whose work pops up in Metallica, pops up in a lot of different bands. They often talk about his story, which concerns Cthulhu and some different. So H.P. Lovecraft is a really renowned and legendary author, and he wrote this one story called Dreams in the Witch House, and it's about a house that is based near where I grew up in New England. It's about kind of a haunted house, if you want to say. It's a house where you can move into a different dimension and time. And so the story is really cool. So they created a rock opera around that. They used a bunch of really great Swedish and American musicians, and I got to play a couple leads. Bruce Kulick from Kiss played some leads, and now we're going to be able to involve a famous Swedish actor named Stefan Sauk, and the drummer from Motorhead, Mickey D, is going to be involved as well. So it's growing. It's already a record. It's already a released 12-inch purple violet record, which is really cool. It's see-through and it's violet. The other thing, other than the Dreams in the Witch House rock opera project, is the two-piece power duo that I've always had in America before I even got back in W.A.S.P. And that has a lot of music and is based on the Guitar Cross. And as I find a drummer, I'll be able to perform live with that. Right now I'm performing songs in the clinics with the instrument against my drummer from America. John is his name. I'm performing with his drum tracks, but I need to find a really, some great European drummer to work with. So give me a call if you know anybody. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome, sir. It's great to have
you. It's an honor to have you here.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be here with the snowbank in the Finnish proportions. Although Boston has about 15 times as much snow right now, so hi, Boston!